Hello, people with the internet fan, which is probably not, but if you happen to stumble upon this video, today we're going to be looking at draft targets for each of the NFC North teams. I'm just going to start with the NFC North, but if any single one person watches this, I'm going to continue on and do other divisions. Obviously, I know that the Packers do not have a pick in the first round, so it's going to have to go with their second round pick for their targets. I know the Lions have more draft targets than others, but some teams I just found it easier to find targets for. For the Lions, for their first draft target, I'm going to have it be CJ Allen. Obviously, recently they lost Alex Angeloni to the Bucs during free agency, and they need to replace that linebacker. Obviously, I know they have Jack Campbell, who's a young stud that I actually personally really like. But Alex Anzalone did play a big part in that team's defense. So I think to bring someone like CJ Allen who could play pass or stop the run, I think would be big for them. For their second target, I'm going with Jermon McCoy. Their secondary didn't look amazing last season. I know it was partially because due to injuries and they had to have their backups play. But they could go home and take a swing with Jermon McCoy. And because their window is a little bit still open for the Super Bowl, I don't love it, but it still is open. It's closing. And Jamal McCoy, I think personally, is the best corner in this draft class. I know we did not see him play last year due to injury, but if they wanted to take a swing, go ahead. Try something new, go ahead. Their next target, I'm going Akeem Mesidor. Personally, I don't love Akeem Mesidor as a prospect. Because of his age, he is 25. So by the end of his rookie contract, he is 29. But if the Lions are a win-now type of team, like I just said, even though their window's closing, Akeem Mesidor is right for a team that is for a win-now type of move. Because he has that experience, he has all of that time in college that maybe could transfer to the league, and to team someone up with Aiden Hutchinson on that pass rush, maybe could be a winning condition for them. Next target, I'm going with Keldrick Folk. A lot of people are not talking about Keldrick Folk. I really do like him. He obviously was overshadowed by his team being bad at Auburn, but he has long arms, he's fast, he has good potential. Honestly, his numbers aren't the best, but he has the athleticism and the body to do it. And their final draft target, I'm going to have it be Vega Ione. I did not put the first part of his name, but, nickname. Here we go. They could use some help on that O-line. Obviously, the O-line was not the best last year. And that's all I have to say. Ione is the best guard in this class. He's going to be the best available option for O-line at the point where they pick if they choose to take an O-line in the first round. So, yeah. Next on, we'll move on to the Vikings. They pick a number 18 and one pick right after the Lions. Something I do have to say is all of these NFC North teams do pick around the same area, so they will have some overlapping targets I have for them. But the Vikings, I don't really think they need offensive help or really defensive help. I just think that their defense is so good, but was overshadowed by the offensive poor play last year. But still want to have them going with some decent defensive picks here. For the first target, I'm going with Dylan Donovan. I think this is a match made in heaven. Dylan Donovan is a level above the rest of the safeties, I would say, but closely, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is right behind him. But the Vikings really do need a safety with Harrison Smith retiring. And other than that, I kind of love their defense. I know they need some help on the D-line. But the next draft target, as I just mentioned, is Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. As I just said, similar to Dylan Donovan, I have to say, in the case, except for he played at Toledo, so his competition wasn't the best, so maybe his stats are padded. And maybe it turns out like Mike Green last year, where, the numbers are good, but since he played for a lower level school, he falls into the second round. For the next one, I'm going with Peter Woods. Peter Woods is an odd situation because at the beginning of the season, everyone thought that he was going to be a top 5 pick because how he played in his freshman season and his sophomore season. But Clemson kind of fell off through the season, and so did players because they kind of lost motivation because they really had nothing to play for. So the numbers do look down, but he still has the athleticism and the upside. He can still be a really good run stopper in this league, and including with the Vikings losing Jonathan Allen and Hargrave in free agency, I think that's a good pickup for them if they could get him. And maybe they can even trade back into the first round if they really want him. And for their last target, I'm going with Caleb Banks. Similar situation with Peter Woods, except for Banks. The only thing you see him play much this season, he played 3 games because due to injury. But when he played at the Senior Bowl and during the Combine, he looked really good. And he's a good run stopper. Him and Peter Woods, I would say, are on similar levels. Next up, we have the Bears picking at 25. For their first target, I'm going to have him going with Peter Woods, as I just explained for the Vikings, so I'm not going to re-explain it, except for the Bears do need some help on that D-line, because even though I'm casual, I cannot name a single person on that D-line for them. For the next target, I'm going with Caden McDonald. He's a big body. He's like 6'6", 326, something like that. Good big body to put in the middle and stop the run. He could get him to the quarterback on occasions. Not often, but when he does, he could do it. Not the fastest, but you're getting him for that big body realistically. Next up, we have TJ Parker. I know I just keep saying the same thing over and over again, but he plays with Peter Woods at Clemson, so they weren't really fighting for much for the numbers are down, but the 2024 numbers looked really good. He has the upside. I do actually really like him as a player. I think he's scrappy. I think he's rough. And he has the aggression when he gets off the line. He's fast. Get right to the quarterback. And for their final prospect, I'm going with Keldrick Folk. I'm sorry repeating myself, but they all pick around the same thing, and they all need defensive needs. So we're just going to have to deal with it for this video. Now we have some originality, because at number 52, the Packers are picking for their first pick, because they did trade their pick to the Cowboys for Micah last year. For their first prospect, I'm going with Lee Hunter. I don't know if Lee Hunter even falls this far in the draft, to be honest, but same story with Caden McDonald. He's a good run stopper, except for he does get home to the quarterback more. He looked really good at Texas Tech, but maybe only concern is maybe his age. I think he's on the older side, maybe 25, like Akeem Mesidor. But I think the Packers could use some D-line help. I'm pretty sure they signed Hargrave in free agency, but still they could bring in this quotation mark young guy. Their next pick, I'm going with Traden Stukes. I think this is an underrated prospect. The Green Bay Packers could use some secondary help. Obviously, they tried to pick up Diggs during the season. Last season, that didn't work out. They released Shire Alexander at the beginning of last season, but Traden Stukes is actually a really good player. Plays good man, plays good zone. He has good play recognition. And I think he's an underrated player, and I think he'd be a steal for them at number 52, actually, if he even fell that far. I'm going to have Jennings Dunkers as their next target. Jennings Dunkers is an interesting prospect. I think he did climb up some draft boards after that Senior Bowl and Combine. I don't know if O-line is necessarily the Packers' number one need for their first pick in this draft. But obviously, they lost Elton Jenkins and they lost... I'm blanking on his name, but you guys know. But they do need some O-line help. And Jennings Dunkers, I think, is actually a really good player that could benefit them. And for their final target, I am going to have it be Chase Bisnotis. Probably not saying that, but whatever. Same explanation as I just said with Dunkers. They do need some O-line help. I don't know if it's their first need, but I don't think he's even going to fall this far. He probably goes within the first 40 picks. But we'll just have to see. This video is a little bit scrappy and a little thrown together. But I'm just trying something out new, and If you guys liked it, probably no one watches this because YouTube's been cooked recently. Has not recommended anything to anyone. But if you do see this, the view was appreciated. And if you really liked it or want to support, like, subscribe, maybe do this for every other division. Thank you.